Hey YouTube, this is David again, back with another uh, rambling review, this time of Robocop 2014. Robocop, directed by, I want to try and get his name right. I think I've always pronounced it wrong up until now. It's Jose Padilla, I believe that's correct. Don't know that I've ever seen anything that he's directed before, but Robocop 2014, as I keep saying 2014, is a remake, of course, of the 1987 fiction film by the same name, Robocop. And I feel good as I go into this rambling review because trying to lighten the mood a little bit. I just finished my little review of Lone Survivor, and so I know it's going to be more fun for me to talk about Robocop, in as much as I might be ranting a little bit and just having more fun with this. So if I'm smiling for much of this, that's why. And also, one thing I wanted to share with you, a little funny story, and actually, not really so much it's not a confession, it's just something I want to admit for fun. There's a guy on here, OCP Communications, reviews all kind of movies, has hundreds of videos, and I've watched a bunch of his video reviews. OCP Communications, by his name, you can see he's a really big Robocop fan, big time. And I watched his rant on Ride Along, and thought it was really funny. And I left a comment and on his video. It made it to the top comment. I think I was the first commenter, but anyway, I don't know if it's still up there, that comment I made. But I told him, yeah, I saw the trailer for Ride Along, and nothing was really in it that made me want to see it. It seemed like it would be just kind of a silly, crude kind of thing. But then I told him, get this, me and my mom and my sister, we went to, must have been in December, we went to see The Desolation of Smog at the theater, and one of those before the feature presentation messages, public service announcement was to keep your cell phone off during the movie. And this one was done by Kevin Hart. Some of you might have seen it if you were at the theater and you saw this thing. Kevin Hart dressed up like a security guard and with like oversized pants or something, kind of like the shtick I guess he has in Ride Along, where it's like he's basically trying to fill pants bigger than his, like he's trying to prove something or to prove he's tough in that movie or something. I don't know, something silly. Anyway, he says, and I'm only going to say this, just to tell you what he said. He said, "Turn your damn cell phone off." And he's like shaking his hand at the theater. "Turn your cell phone off." And my mom was offended, and so was I, because I mean, I just don't need that. The regular thing is good enough for me, and the one I like the best, where they have the guy saying, "This is rude," and it's just some guy on his cell phone. The glare is distracting people and really aggravating and irritating, annoying when people do that. "This is obnoxious," and some guy is answering the phone and immediately having some reaction. It was like, ah, like saying hello to somebody. And then he says, "This is illegal," and it's some guy, and he's like, got his like hoodie on. He's like he's recording the movie in the theater. I like that one. But no, this one was done by Kevin Hart. It was supposed to be funny, but the way he did it, if he hadn't said that, it would have been good. It would have been, it would have been good and everything, but he didn't have to cuss like that. And we were there to see a PG-13 movie, and I was offended. My mom was offended. She wrote a letter to Carmack Cinemas saying, this was in poor taste. I didn't like this. They actually apologized in a letter and sent her 4 free passes, 2 of which I used this week to go to the movies, and I just thought that was kind of funny. I posted that, not all that, but I just told that on OCP Communications. I commented that happened, that she complained they got 4 free passes, and there he is complaining about how awful the Kevin Hart, well, not just Kevin Hart, the movie Ride Along was. And I was like, well, get this. my mom got 4 free passes, something also related to Kevin Hart. And he said, he responded in the comment and he said, huh, at least you got free passes out of that. If Kevin Hart told me to turn my cell phone off, I'd laugh in his face. Not an effective policy. And so I thought that was something. But more than that, I went to see Robocop. I broke down and I went to see Robocop. I like the old science fiction film. Maybe not some parts of it, you know how I am, but the idea, the cyborg idea, the science fiction of it, it's a neat little film. And I knew I went in wanting to hate this because not necessarily the PG-13 thing. That might not be a big issue, but just some other things that I'll talk about as I go. But anyway, I went to see Robocop, and when I went in, I noticed during the trailers that the speakers were all messed up. They were like crackling, like every time there was an explosion in a commercial for if it was an action film or something. They were crackling horribly, like, and just you couldn't tell what was what. The horrible messed up speakers and what's going on. It was horrible. The speakers were messing up. I went and told somebody at the front desk and said to get on it. I went back to my seat. And in between a couple of the trailers, they were yelling at us from the projection window. Some young woman who worked there saying, "We're afraid this speaker's about to go out. It'll take a technician to fix what's wrong. So you folks, we can bring you free passes to come back see any movie you want, or also we can tell you the showtimes of other movies you might want to watch that are starting soon." And so maybe like 5 or 10 minutes into Robocop, the lady brings me a readmission ticket, so I'm going to go back to Hollywood theaters and see a movie for free, hopefully in a few days. But it's just, the funny thing is, when the movie started, whatever transition that the sound system goes into that's different from the trailers, it stopped. There was no problem during the movie with the speakers. It was perfect. The problem wasn't there during the movie, only during the loud trailers, and yet I still got this free ticket. And I feel kind of bad, but also it is funny to me that, I mean, OCP Communications, he hated this movie, I know, because of how much he loved the original, which I also like a lot and saw it unfortunately when I was young. But that's something I think I'll talk about during this review too, this rambling review, that he hated it so much, and he said in his rant that he had to pay more because he had to see it on IMAX or something like that, so he had to pay more, and he hated it. I was actually amused and entertained by this film, and I'll get into that. And yet, the thing is, he hated it, had to pay more. I thought, I'm going to pretend this is a movie by a different name that I'll get into, and enjoyed it, and ended up with a free ticket for another movie. Anyway, I just wanted to share that. But about the name, the other name that I just mentioned, something else I want to borrow from OCP Communications is something I heard in his rant when he was talking to Rambo Rap for Life, that this movie, don't call it Robocop. Don't call it Robocop if you're going to change the things in the movie that they've changed. Call it Cybercop, which, even before I watched the movie, and I was listening to someone else who had seen it, someone in my family, saying the way he's connected to different systems, it seemed like it was a more advanced way than in the first movie, in 1987 version, the version with Peter Weller, thank you, that it really makes more sense to call him Cybercop. And so, if I say Cybercop throughout this little rambling review, I'm talking about the new Robocop, who isn't really Robocop. He's Cybercop. And so, that's what I'm going to be talking about. And sure enough, just like I heard in some of the rants, the way the movie starts, you don't actually hear the lion roar of the MGM. You hear Sam Jackson getting ready for his stage voice, I mean, not just ma. His tongue is all over the place. Like, maybe he's trying to speak in tongues the way people claim to or something. It's it was kind of disturbing. Unfortunately, the people someone in my family went to see the movie. They missed the beginning, but when I saw it, I saw the whole thing, the whole sequence in the Mid-East, wherever that was supposed to be. I didn't catch it because that's when the lady was bringing the ticket right there during part of that scene. I said, thanks. But I missed a little bit of it, but I think I missed the name of the place anyway. If it's supposed to be Iran and a not too distant parallel universe future, who knows, somewhere in the Mid-East, they're obviously taking on current events, obviously, and also putting the drone uh, thing into the movie too, that idea. But again, let me go ahead and touch on that while I was just thinking about it. The parallel thing. I had the feeling after watching this movie that maybe this guy, Jose Padilla, he's done the same thing with Robocop as J.J. Abrams has done with the new Star Trek. Same name, he just went opposite of everything that the original did and just created a parallel, an alternate timeline, and Robocop just an alternate movie altogether from the original, which is kind of nuts. But this isn't going to be a rant. I'm not going to be ranting on this so much as just talking about how amused I was by the movie. You hear the sound effects, horrible redigitized, not as good as the actual score of the original movie. Dun 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 dun. And not even all that. It kind of drifts off into this newer, horrible sounding thing, and it's always before one of Sam Jackson's, or right after. It's like at the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie, both of which it starts and ends with Samuel L. Jackson, which I kind of like his effects, the way he just kind of grabs the holograms, his new stuff, and he looked like Mr. Burns in that episode where, oh, we got that new environmental report, all this shredded paper, the way he throws it out the window. That's what Sam Jackson reminded me of in one of these scenes. But yeah, I was entertained by this movie because from the beginning, from the cartoonish opening, I said, you know what I'm going to take? I'm going to borrow something from OCP, Cybercop. I'm watching Cybercop. And I temporarily lobotomized myself, kind of like Cybercop, in this movie called Robocop, because Cybercop in this movie is kind of done that way, with Gary Oldman looking at his brain and tweaking it ever so slightly with his little tweezers or whatever he had to alter his brain waves or whatever slightly, which is more over-the-top stuff that maybe I'll mention. I'd like to mention everything I want to, but review. But just know I'm having fun here with this one. Yeah, so that's what I thought.
I'm watching Cybercop, and so it was all very entertaining. I'm not actually watching Robocop. I'm watching Cybercop. This is this new thing which I was really entertained by. If they had called it Cybercop, would they have been able to get me to go spend my money at the theater? No guarantees. No guarantees that they would have got me. But they called it Robocop, and so I ultimately broke down and ended up seeing it. So yeah, it starts off in a Middle East sequence. Samuel Jackson wants to know why Americans are so robophobic. You can see the peace and stability that these machines are bringing to the whole world. A short time ago, our flesh and blood, men and women, would have put their very lives at stake achieving what we can now achieve with these machines, these flawless instruments of justice and freedom. And he is good. It's not Robocop, and that's the only way I can justify it. It's not Robocop. This is Sam Jackson in an over-the-top cartoon called Cybercop, and it's gold. When I call it Cybercop, I call it Robocop, it has to be burned down, and people need to go to jail for making this. But I call it Cybercop, and it's great. It's a great little movie. I so wanted to hate it, but I don't. I was actually really entertained and had a good day at the movies. Even watched his name. I know he was Rorschach. The Watchmen. And I know he was the new Freddy Krueger. Hopefully he'll be
the old Freddy Krueger. I didn't even watch that movie, but I just heard he was in it as Freddy. Jackie Earle Haley. Can't believe I couldn't remember his name. Also, Joel Kinnaman. Let me just go through the actors and how they each acted real quick. Joel Kinnaman as Alex Murphy. I didn't have any problems with his acting. I didn't. I thought he was good for what he was told to do in this Cybercop movie. Yes, I know the complaints others have made, especially Michael King when I watched his review about this, because he said, what is the problem of making a movie with characters we actually care about? And he's right. I ended up caring about this guy through the movie, but not really early on. That could have been done better. That could have been in Cybercop. To make a good Cybercop movie, they could have added scenes in before. I mean, I know even in the original Robocop, you don't see, with Peter Weir's opinion, they don't show him with his family. It all comes later, and it's more sequence they do it in, and the music that they use. But in This, they do this flashback thing. Joe Kinnaman goes into his police station. People are asking him, like, how's Lewis? He's like, I don't know, man. Hopefully it's going to be okay. I think they got him stable. Something bad has happened to his partner, Lewis. You're about to find out what. He goes into his chief's office, Chief Karen Dean, played by Marianne Jean Baptiste. And you find out later she's crooked, she's corrupt. You kind of sniff that out early, and you're kind of surprised that Alex doesn't fully realize it then, but at the same time, between his partner just having been shot and the short time he has to really see it, I guess you give the character a break, and even that little bit of writing a break, that he should have seen that she was a bad cop, a crooked chief of police, because she knew about evidence, weapons being stolen from the station by a couple of corrupt cops, played by character's name is Andre Daniels, played by Casey Collins, and another guy. He's not here right where I can see him, but two partners, two cops working together, partner and partner together, perfect. They're both corrupt, and they know each other. I guess that's the ideal corrupt cop thing. But anyway, he goes in to her office. He has a little confrontation with them, like, you don't know this is happening, you don't know this is happening. Stuff's missing from the station, the evidence, guns. You don't see what might be happening. You're either crooked or dirty. And they're like, oh, you calling me something, you think? And kind of a little confrontation. And she says, enough, out, Alex, you stay. She talks to him, says, I will handle this. I will handle this. And he's just telling him, he tells her everything that happened. He and Lewis, they didn't tell anybody. They didn't tell her. They didn't inform any other cops or have backup ready or anything for this thing they were going to be doing to try and get this bad guy, the bad guy, which he's not very intimidating. Again, it's PG-13, but he seemed like any kind of villain you would see in like a TV series, LA Law or whatever junk is on TV these days. What is his name? Antoine Vallon, played by Patrick Garrow. He's with his guy, and Joel Kinnaman, Alex, and his partner, Jack Lewis, played by Michael K. Williams, which, again, alternate universe creation, and the movie's made possibly enough for a sequel, we'll say that. Original movie, the movie, Robocop. Male chief of police, woman partner. In this, female chief, male partner. Just do the flip. Just do a little alternate whatnot, and it's all good, because this is Cybercop. I'm going to keep going. This is so much fun. It goes bad. Somebody tips them off. They're there in this cafe thing. he and Lewis, Murphy and Lewis, right across the table from the head bad guy and his guy. It was the corrupt cops, of course, who tipped them off somehow that they were there. So instantly, the guy comes in, guy takes a telephone call, leaves them, saying, something's up, got to take this. They kind of look at each other. They can see some guys coming in and that they've been had. They shoot the guy that's left there at the table, flip the table, and then start with the duck and cover, shooting a bunch of bad guys. And I know a lot of people complained about the score, but that music that was playing during that firefight and the that kind of ambient in and out, whatever it was, I remember I'm watching it and I'm saying, I kind of like that, especially in a flashback sequence, which the flashback thing was kind of unnecessary. It's just the way they did it. And I guess it works. That little bit of a flashback at the beginning. The greater complaint that I have has to do with them not showing more scenes with the family, and I'll get into why in just a minute. So what happens is they're fighting for their lives. Nobody knows where they are. They call for backup after Lewis gets shot because the head bad guy gets away, and Murphy and him, they shoot everybody else. One guy runs away, can't shoot him. But yeah, guy gets away. He calls for an ambulance. You don't know if Lewis is gonna live. He's been shot, his partner. And so he's in the hospital, and then it's back to the present. He knows something's up. Partner's in the hospital. Basically, he feels like he got him shot because it was his idea to keep it on the low. Don't tell anybody. We're gonna go do this thing. Try and nail this guy ourselves and put the cuffs on him ourselves, maybe. Yeah. So that's how that ends. She says after he fills her in on everything that's happened, she leaves the station, so he goes home, and all that is what's happened in the past. Now he's at home, sees his kid, his son, played by John Paul Rutten, David Murphy, his son, and so he says, I'd like to do whatever with you, kiddo. It's like some other time or something. Not the most, I guess it's like supposed to be an under stress moment, which again I wish they had added some more scenes together of his family with him to do something to make you care more about his character before he became Robocop, because it's kind of empty. It really is, and I'll explain more about that in just a minute. But then he's alone with his wife upstairs. There's shaky camera. He's stressed out. She's stressed out. They kind of touch each other. It's like they're going to make out or something. He takes her shirt off or whatever. A car alarm goes off. He's like, oh, I'm just going to wake up the kid. Got to go outside and turn it off. And the music changes to this kind of an ominous dun dun. You know something's about to happen. It's not turning off. The alarm's not turning off. He opens up the door. Boom! Horrible looking CGI explosion. I mean, just boom, and then flames kind of die down, and you see him. You actually see him. Where he was blown. He was blown over onto his steps, and the way he's not moving, it's like he's just a horrible pile of meat smoldering. And it looked good and it looked bad. I mean, that looked neat. Him being over neat. The effect of him lying there, I guess, was a good effect, but the explosion itself looked horrible. Next thing, he's already becoming Robocop. OCP, Omnicorp, or whatever it's called. I'm going to go ahead and say OCP for short, even though it's different. It's not Omni Consumer Products, it's Omnicorp or something. Omni whatever in this Cybercop movie. Anyway. They're pressuring her to let them have his remains because they can save his life and give him the kind of prosthesis and stuff that Omni whatever in this Cybercop movie specialize in. they can save his life. They explain to her that he's got 4-degree burns over 80% of his body. Part of his leg is gone. He's going to be blind in one eye. His brain waves are off or something like that. And I'm going to mention something else about what's left of him in just a minute. What's left of him at this point after the explosion. But just to catch me up on the Omnicore side of it, Gary Oldman, who really is the best thing in this movie, besides some of Joel Kinnaman, which I actually do like some of Joel Kinnaman's performance as Cybercop. Gary Oldman is a scientist, Dr. Dennett Norton, not to be confused with the alternate reality movie Robocop and Bob Morton. Michael Keaton as Raymond Sellers. He's the bad guy sort of at the beginning and then really the bad guy in the end, and I'll explain why I say that way in a minute. Abby Cornish as Clara Murphy. Michael K. Williams as Louis Black. And Jay Baruchel as Tom Pope. Samuel L. Jackson again as Pat Novak. And again, at the beginning, Pat Novak, I know OCP Communications and others have called it like a Bill O'Reilly type thing, and in as much as it is like a politicized sort of corporatist sort of thing where he can shut down people, like for instance later in the movie there's a little holographic imagery instead of a phone call or a screen. This senator of the what's the bill called? The Dreyfus bill, Senator Dreyfus and Michael Keaton having a little debate about the pros and cons and why it would be so good to have robots policing America. Dreyfus, of course, has some sense. He's like, because if you can't put machines in charge of ending human lives or controlling the freedom of live people. You need to have human beings in the mix. It has to be a human being who has a conscience about killing and things like that. I say killing as in using the most extreme thing that would ever be done in the course of law enforcement, which is what they're trying to do. They're trying to get their robots, the ED-209 and the other little robots they're shaped like men, like Iron Man looking robots, on the streets. They have them everywhere else in the world, like overseas and so forth. So they're playing on the current issues of, well, we can use them to patrol the sky here in America, these drones, since they're good enough to, they're good enough to kill Pakistanis who we're not actually at war with, I don't think. Well, then they're good enough to kill Americans here in America. And that's how over the top it is. Some of the things the ideas of it in this film, the way Samuel L. Jackson, he's doing his over-the-top shtick with his hair and everything, and the senator starts to have a rebuttal or something to something Michael Keaton says, "Oh, thank you, Senator." His hologram just goes away, cuts him right off and disappears. I'm like, oh my goodness. Maybe there is a Bill O'Reilly-ish type thing to it, but that's a whole nother video. So that's what they're after. They're trying to sell it to the American people. And so Michael Keaton has the bright idea. He realizes Americans will never accept robots. We got to have something with conscience. We got to have something. We got to have a policeman. We've always got to have a policeman who knows what it feels like. We got to put a man in a machine. So that's what the Cybercop thing will be all about. So they have several things where they have the man who he lost his legs, but he's gotten overweight since this accident. The guy who's too aggressive. The guy who's this, and they go through all these different potentials, and none of the people they want to use for the Cybercop thing are good enough or acceptable candidates for whatever reason. And so Michael Keaton says, okay, just keep looking. So now they have this Alex Murphy. And Abby Cornish's wife, Clara Murphy, she's basically pressured, really by Jennifer Ale especially. First thing I've ever seen that I didn't like her in, because she's evil in this, as Liz Klein. She signs the papers. 3 months later, it says, and I guess it took 3 months to do all this, which I guess they're going for realistic. Even if you have $1 trillion to work with, realistic time frames is possible, I guess. I don't know. And they're building him in China. He wakes up after having a dream, and of course, this is another movie, just like another one I saw yesterday, but I won't do a review of it just yet. I'm trying to do all these one at a time, where dreams become visible on a screen through whatever serum they get and whatever readouts and leads they're connecting to people's minds and brain waves, whatever. They can see what, in holographic form, what he's thinking in his dreams, and it's Sinatra music of "Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars." It's like an actual event where there was a little dance or something, a little get-together at a home, where his home, where he's dancing with his wife, his partner Lewis is there, they're having a nice time, a bunch of other people, probably cops, maybe got together, and Karen Dean, his chief, is there, just all innocent and everything. Just another person, and then it kind of fades away, and he's like it's messing with his memory and his dream at the same time, that she's walking away from him after they're dancing. He's like, "Where are you going, Lewis?" And then all of a sudden he gets all straight like this, and it's that thing you see in the trailer and images online of he's in the gray suit, the Cybercop suit, and Gary Oldman's talking to him. He says, "Time to wake him up." And so then he's awake, and it's like, where am I? And this stuff, I actually thought it was done pretty good when I saw it. I know a lot of people complain, but it's like, when he starts to walk, and something that he says, of the way he acts in the suit, well, it's not really a suit, it's him. He doesn't realize it yet, but it's kind of like, you know that, but he doesn't yet, and they're trying to explain to him what's happened to him and what they had to do to save him, and that his wife's okay. He's freaking out, asking about his wife. "Where's my wife? What happened? How long have I been out?" and all this stuff. And I thought it was actually done pretty good as far as the acting, because he's like, I know what a dream is like. I can feel this. I know what it's like to watch. And the interaction between Gary Oldman, his assistant, and Cybercop, I just thought it was really good. But then, like, she mentions something about amputee, like most amputees this or something. He's like, "Amputee? What are you talking about? An amputee?" Like, grabs Oldman by the throat. He's like, "What did you do to me?" and all this stuff. And he says, "He's having a seizure, or you gotta shut him down, or shut him down." I forget what they do. There are several scenes where either they lower his dopamine levels to zombie level, or kill the switch, or whatever they do to knock him out and make him where he can't move. So then he's back in his little seat, standing up in his cyber chair, hooked into whatever nutrients that feed whatever organic, whatever's left for nourishment, or whatever keeps him going. And he's calm again, and Gary Oldman's talking to him. Oh, no, wait, sorry. Before that, before they shut him down outside, because he says, "Let him run, let him go." And to see him run, it's like, I didn't really like his running the way it looked, but he can go. He can really get after it. All these people in pink, all these Asian people in pink working, and you see again, it's in Asia. Whatever, I don't know why the factory is there. Maybe tax reasons, who knows. That they built him in China somewhere, I guess. And he runs outside, and there are rice paddies in kind of a marshy area, 2 ED-209s outside, and I was looking at it, I was just like thinking, special effects are really good. As far as the ED-209 itself, by the way, again, this is Cybercop, so it's all good. Alternate reality opposite from the movie Robocop in 1987, which
that ED-209 actually he appeared to have kind of a face and a personality to him, which I liked it, especially when they would call him Ed 209, you know, with big machine guns and whatnot. But nothing's wrong with these, of course. These are just some flawless killing machines that are very menacing looking, very intimidating. The way they turn suddenly and just obliterate stuff, the way they did at the beginning. Again, I should have talked about that more at the beginning. In the beginning sequence, and this is how over-the-top cartoonish it is. This says it all right here at the very beginning, and really puts you on pace for how over-the-top everything else is going to be. They're suicide bombers, saying we're going to defend our home, we're going to defend our... Wait until they're filming. They know there's a film crew there. And there's Jackie Earle Haley as this military specialist and robotics specialist working for Omnicorps, telling this reporter, don't worry, nothing's going to happen. You're a red asset. We've never lost a red asset. It's going to be a good day. We're going to have fun. There are robots walking around this city in the Middle East or whatever. They're scanning little children, and it's reading out, not a threat. And the little kid kind of points at it and kind of steps back away from it. It's just over-the-top stuff. It looked almost crowded. There were so many ED-209s and Iron Man robots walking around. It's like, you can barely breathe in this place. No wonder these people feel secure. But I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that in my town or walking down my country road here. Anyway, suicide bombers attack and blow up one of the ED-209s. They know they're filming there. They're like, make sure we die on television. Make sure they see it. Make sure the world sees this. And then a little kid, they told him to stay inside. His mom's like, don't go out there with them. I'm going to lose you too. Don't go out there. He has a knife for some reason. I guess he's going to stab the metal ED-209, but he's just trying to do something. And you see all the explosions from when this ED-209 kind of like shoots down at the boy, but it's kind of a cutaway, and he just blows up half the building while he's at it too. And anyway, in all this chaos, there's Sam Jackson, Pat Novak, saying, I've just received word, sorry, Karen, or whatever that reporter's name is, I'm afraid we're going to have to leave you for a moment, but you take care now, and be safe. And it's like, he's like, oh, we will, Pat. And like, cut the stream, and there you have it. Complete safety and security. It's carnage. It's carnage. People were getting blown up, and there's just explosions and shooting and death and stuff blowing up and falling down. He's like, and there you have it. Complete security. And not one policeman or firefighter or soldier has to risk their life. Why is America so robophobic? It is just... and that's the beginning in a nutshell. But back to Robocop, forgive me, Cybercop becoming Cybercop. When he first freaks out and he's in the gray suit, Gary Oldman says, let him go, let him go. He's trying to catch his breath because he had him around the throat. Let him go, let him run. And so he runs all the way outside, and I'm thinking, as I see that scene with the ED-209s looking at him and watching Cybercop look around, and the way he goes off into the rice paddies, and Gary Oldman's talking to him, probably in his mind, not even a radio, probably in his brain. Alex, calling him Alex, good enough to call him Alex, because he's the only person really who considers Alex a human being and not Cybercop. To everyone else, he is property, kind of like in the original. You're just a robot, you're just property. You're OCP, you're Omnicorps property. He says, where are you going, Alex? You have to stop. We have to talk. So he says, shut him down. Shuts him down. He goes down like a rag doll, just flops in the water, the muddy water of the rice paddies in China, or wherever he was. And so then he's back. He's calm. He wakes up again in the chair or the standing unit, whatever, where he's hooked up to, and he's talking calmly to Gary Oldman, and he says, like, you gotta show me, you gotta take it off, show me my body or whatever. And this happened so suddenly. I had actually seen the image online of him, just the head, I guess that's his esophagus or whatever that thing is, and then his lungs, and his heart, which later on, when that idiot guy starts playing the If I Only Had a Heart music, trying to be a smart aleck, and Gary Oldman's got this face on like he don't like the joke because it's his patient, it's him. He knows Alex is still here. He knows his mind is still here. He knows his soul is still here. And he's trying to help him as much as he can as a doctor. He doesn't like this. It doesn't make sense. The music doesn't make sense. If I Only Had a Heart, you look in there, and there's a scene, you see his lungs, there's something all snuggled inside there, the way where a heart is, you know. He's got a heart. He still has his heart. So If I Only Had a Heart makes no sense anyway. It's just more junk. Anyway, this happened so suddenly that it actually got me. It actually got me. I was like, well, they just came right off, didn't they? I was like right there with him. I was looking at his suit. It's like I'm Alex Murphy. It's like you got to show me what's happening. And so Gary Oldman says, like, take it off or something like that. He says something, and the machine dissembles his lower half, and his eyes are just, he almost becomes like a zombie for about 10 minutes of the movie from this point onward until they put his dopamine levels on. And this is part of the thing I didn't like very much with the acting, but I'll talk about it. His legs just come right off, and I was like, it got me. I was like, the way it happened or the way it looked, I'm like, those are supposed to be my legs. They're supposed to be his legs, and they just came right off. And then he's freaking out, and I'm freaking out as I'm watching it. Again, I don't know how they did that, because I already saw it online. Like, oof, just the lungs are left? That's horrible. Which, again, is kind of messed up, because he had a leg, part of another leg, both arms. I know he's got burns all over, and they're going to fix his eyes and his brain anyway, and they have $1 trillion. Was it really necessary to amputate 85% of his body? It seemed kind of sick. Anyway, but I know they want it all to be robotic and whatnot. It's just keeping one hand the way they didn't make sense. It's him, he's encased in whatever, and his right hand, which I don't know why they kept the right hand. I got my own little theory that I'll share at the end, and I'll just say this. Nice touch. That's all I'll say. An ending scene at the end, and I'll explain that when I get there.
Hello, please leave a message after the tone.
No, not going to leave me a message. Because before I had said to myself, I was thinking, when Alex Murphy is completely annihilated by those evil criminals in Robocop, the movie, 1987, what's the first thing that the evil Clarence Boniger does? He shoots off. He shoots his hand off. It's the first thing to go, his hand. In this movie, they keep his right hand, and I thought to myself, I was just being a smart aleck, I said, because Jose Padilla is just a clever man. But no, I think that what they did at the end, it actually is a nice touch, just to me. And it's the only thing I keep the right hand organic, his actual flesh hand, because it goes. And they don't explain why
they keep it, but anyway. And it kind of creeped me out. I'm like, organic machine, and then more organic. There's just a hand in there. I'm like, ugh, that's even more creepy than the other stuff. But anyway, when they uncased him, I was right there, and it actually got me, and I'm glad it got me, because I was like, wow. He's like, there's nothing left. There's nothing left. It's just, arms are gone. It's just, he's just a head and some lungs in his heart. Not even any digestive. It's just awful. It is awful. It's an awful scene, an awful realization for him. And he's like, Gary Oldman has to talk him out of what he wants, because he wants to die. He's like, just let me die. Just let me die. But it's like, your wife, don't you want to see your wife? You can still have something in this life. You can still have some. And he has to talk him down, and he does. But he says,
I never want to see myself like this again. My wife's never going to see me like this again. You understand me? Gary Oldman's like, I understand. So they put it all back on, so he doesn't have to look at it anymore. And now he's Cybercop. He's got this ultra impenetrable body now, which I guess I'll take this. But no, let me go a little bit further. They ultimately have to put his dopamine levels down, because when Michael Keaton later wants to unveil him and show the world, look what I've done. See, throw out the Dreyfus Act. Let's make it legal to put Omnicore, Cybercop, and ED-209s and all of my Iron Man droids or whatever, robots, here in America. Because, hey, look how cool this guy is. Look what he can do. Or it can do. He's having a seizure from all the stuff. And it's like in The Matrix when Keanu says, I know Kung Fu. Only not as good, because as he is being fed all this stream of computer files and all these people that need to be arrested and are wanted for murder and everything else at the, by their supercomputer or whatever, he has images of his own murder, and it's triggering some kind of emotional, the explosion of his car and everything, it's triggering something in him. He starts having a seizure so bad that they have to knock him out. They put the heat on Gary Oldman, like, he's got to get outside now. The people are here. His public is here. We've got to unveil him now. And he's like, what did you want me to do? And Gary Oldman is like, he's still probably the best part of the movie, Gary Oldman is. And his assistant doesn't want to do it, but he's like, lowering his dopamine levels, and she's like, but he's flat, he's leveling, he's like lower, and they hold him at like 2% or something, so he's a complete zombie. He walks right by his partner, his wife, his son, doesn't flinch. He's complete Cybercop now, which I had originally felt that maybe this movie they totally did away with the idea of the cyborg, because the cyborg as a science fiction idea, that is, because in the original Robocop, the way Peter Weller looked when, especially in Robocop 2, when he was stripped by the bad guys and they took off his leg and stuff, you realize, well, there must not be much of him left except his brain and whatever in here. We didn't really know that in the first Robocop, except, they took his other arm off and total body prosthesis, so I guess that means, well, the head is part of the body. It's the head of it. The way he looked, the way the flesh overlapped that little bit of those circuits and stuff, like where the man stopped and the machines, the artist's conception of it, the way Peter Weller looked when the visor was off, it's like that's a cyborg. This rather, in this movie, I like Michael King's description of, this isn't Robocop, this is Robo-Man. The way, and especially the way he sounded and stuff, the way the noises his suit made. But anyway, he had to earn his ticket back home, because they were gonna, I don't know what they were gonna do, scrap him if he couldn't pass these tests, because Jackie Earle Haley, the robotics specialist and the military specialist, he's big into these robots. He knows all about the robots, and that's what he uses, that's what he maintains is the superior weapon and potential policing force for people, because to him it all is flawless and they won't make mistakes and their responses are immediate and they don't mess up to him. He says, but you introduce organics into this. We got a whole nother, I don't know what this thing, and he says really derogatory and mean things to Alex. They're looking at him, human eyes, a soul looking at him, being told that he's just property, that he's just that he's just a lab experiment, Frankenstein. I think he calls him Frankenstein. But anyway, it's like Alex in these first tests doesn't react as quickly as the robots. He like hesitates when he's asked to, he's rounding these corners as Cybercop, and he's got to shoot these bad guys and these Robocop, not Robocop, these robots or bad guys, whatever those, it was all just a simulator, like in his mind, a program, and it was seeing how quickly he reacts to this and that, and they didn't like some of the hesitations and responses, the response time of some of the stuff, and he was actually failing, and so that's when this happens, when Gary Oldman goes back in, does a little operation on Alex, and you see his brain and everything, and I'm like, this isn't necessary. This is just, maybe the other scene you can make a case for it, but the brain scene and that little not necessary at all. It was just over the top stuff. They've got little circuits pressed into his brain, and he's wired up here and stuff. He's doing something like I guess like the neuro inhibitor idea from maybe Spider-Man 2, when Doc Ock says, I control these arms, so they don't control me. That kind of thing. It's like whenever a situation would arise, Cybercop, all of the information that's programmed into him would take over and just do all of the really fast response stuff. But as far as the actual decision making to go, like the human response to go and do it somehow, would allow it, but then these other things that Gary Oldman had put in that weren't of Alex's own making, as far as fast reflexes and every corner and all, just being a Superman basically with a gun and an armored suit and getting all the bad guys and getting none of the innocent bystanders hurt, that's when that happened. And when they try to explain it in this exposition between him, Michael Keaton, I'll just say Michael Keaton, I forget what his name is supposed to be, Raymond Sellers, and the lawyerish, I don't know, the other guy was over marketing, and he even says when he's got a gun pointing at him at the end, Jay Baruchel as Tom Pope, I'm just in marketing, and so he lays down. But I guess she's like a lawyer or something. These three are having this little discussion where she ends up saying, that's illegal, when they have just said something like, well, it's a man that thinks it's a machine, or something like you're using a human to do this robot. It's like, she's like, well, that's illegal. And then Seller, I wish I had remembered this so well, but I didn't. But then Michael Keaton says something like, no, it's a machine that thinks it's human. That's legal, or something like that. But it's over the top stuff. Gary Oldman's explanation actually makes more sense, as far as he's making the decision to allow something to take over and let him be a super cop. That's the closest I can get to it. But anyway, he actually has this test against, like, I don't know, 100 of these Iron Man robots with Jackie Earle Haley leading them. And that's when that music that everybody complains about takes over. The Hocus Pocus Focus music with the yodeling, whatever that thing is, that starts right as they do a pan, this wide panning shot of in this warehouse simulation of all of them. They're just everywhere in the upper stories, and they're like, the place is crawling with these robots. I actually listened to some of that song, and you know what? I actually like the song. I actually like that song in this part of this movie. But if you call it Robocop, yes, it needs to be burned and people need to be arrested for making it. But in this movie, Cybercop, with this, what did Michael Keaton call it? It looked like a Silverhawk in the black uniform, when Michael Keaton says, make it black. Which looks more like it looks like Cybercop. That's who this is, Cybercop. That's who it looks like, and that's who it is. So it all makes sense. Anyway, he gets them all, not a scratch on him. Takes out all the robots, and then he has this little revenge thing, one-upmanship with Jackie Earle Haley, actually having shot his gun out of his hand. He said, "What would happen if I tased the exoskeletal whatnot, the Oh, maybe that's what he did. I think that's what he did. This is how slow I am. Jackie Earle Haley didn't consider him human. He wasn't going to consider Jackie Earle Haley human either. He says, what would happen if I tased the exoskeletal suit with a little a-hole in it, referring to Jackie Earle Haley. He tased him, and there's Jackie Earle Haley on the ground. So then he gets to go home, and he actually thanks Gary Oldman, and it's actually kind of a good scene. Like, it's been a pleasure, Alex. He's actually like in this reflective, thank you, kind of a thing. Before he goes in to see his wife and his son, which he asks his son when he kneels down, and his son's kind of wary of him because of the black suit and everything, and he's like this armored man with his dad's face in it. Like, what is this thing? It's his dad, and he has to try and cope with that, and he's trying, and his mother says, Alex's wife says, it's okay, and Alex says, do you want to touch it? Want to touch the suit? So he touches it, and he says, I taped the Seahawks or whatever sports team. Says, oh, did they win? No, haven't watched it. I want to watch it with you. I'll have to do it some other time. I gotta get my suit. Some work on my suit. Need some handling. Gotta go get polished. Get this suit painted and polished and buffed or whatever. Get more stuff put in his brain. Who knows what handling would mean for Cybercop. I just wish they had put in more scenes, because that got to me. I mean, I liked it, that scene. I just wish there was more before. There should have been more in this alternate universe, which is essentially what's been done by the likes of Jose Padilla, J.J. Abrams with his Star Trek. Hopefully he won't completely ruin Star Wars more than it already is. If they didn't have more emotional build-up after and trying to deal with it, they should have had a little bit more, just like they didn't in the original Robocop, 1987. They did after, and with the memories. And that's the whole thing with the cyborg that I meant to mention earlier, that he's got his memories. They didn't wipe his memories. And so I've always thought, from watching the original Robocop, that that's part of what made him a cyborg, part man, part machine, and that he was property of OCP in that universe. How his life really was taken away from him because it was stolen. First he was murdered, but then the people who essentially saved his life, and as much as his brain matter, they were able to keep him alive, keep his brain, his mind there, his soul. How it makes a difference. It really does make a difference. There's a really difficult journey that it's more tragic. The original, not to say that it's a drama, because this movie, Cybercop, goes the way of drama too, and yet the original is more of a sad thing, more of a sad drama than just pain and struggle and trying to cope, because they took away his life when they took away his memories. And in the second, in Robocop 2, when he basically lies to his wife, and again, I understand the comparisons people want to make between the acting, because it's different, and so it's going to be different styles and different performances and everything because of how different these movies are by the way they're written and the way they're made. Just using his face and not even saying anything, Peter Weller was able to emote from what he was thinking as those mean lawyers were talking to him in his reboot chair there in Robocop 2, saying, the funeral was a long time ago. She had moved on. She, meaning Alex's wife, even though they weren't going to refer to her as his wife, because they just weren't going to do that. He's nothing. He's a robot. He's property. And so everything was going fine, and the lawyer said, and then you pulled this, driving by her house, making her think her husband is still alive. You think you could Do you think you could be a husband? Do you think you could love? Do you think you could give her a man's love? No. The way he did it, and then when he says, "I don't know you," and they made this to honor him. That's acting. Peter Weller did that just with his face. But Joe Kinnaman, not that he's a bad actor, he didn't have to do that. He wasn't told to do that by what he was given. And the thing is, he looked kind of like a zombie that first 10 minutes, the way he was trying to deal with it. To look at himself, to know he was blown up, that somebody trying to kill him. He's been out for 3 months. He wakes up. He tries to escape from this strange place. He doesn't know anybody or anything here. They bring him back in, and then he looks, and they say all he sees left of him is his lungs and heart and his head, hoping that this is just another weird bad dream too. But then to have to accept it and then get on the phone, this TV phone where he can actually see his wife, and his eyes when she comes on, like he can't believe, like it's not a dream, it's actually happening. And he kind of like zombie acting. I was getting it, but at the same time, it was just a very different way of the Cybercop movie than was Robocop, because it's like he's trying to cope and also deal with emotions of this person that he loves talking to him and saying, "Oh, it's so good to see you, and I hope you can come home soon, miss you," and all this. And just for him to know from having seen, and probably still wishing it was just some weird dream, bad dream, that his life as it was before is over. And here's someone he loves. He's still not able to touch her. Not that he could, still being separated in China over there, but just like an otherworldly thing where it's just different. It's very different than Robocop. This Cybercop movie is very different from Robocop, even though it's called Robocop. It's supposed to be a remake of the original, even though the original didn't need a remake. If you want to do anything, they need to just make good sequels, not remake stuff that doesn't need to be remade. But yeah, I can see that it's just another take on that kind of thing, and the closest thing, thinking about it now, I can only think that maybe as far as trying to relate to it as I'm watching that movie, it's like you're dead. It's like he thought he was dead, but she's alive. And that little phone call part of it where he still looks like a zombie. I'm just saying, it's like just like he's out of it. The tears are like slowly streaming, but it's like he's all like he's pale and stuff. And I think it's like when I was in basic training, the way I felt like when you're in a world completely controlled, the old life, it's like it's dead. You're going to get back to it. But when you're in there, in that kind of an environment, you're like, this is it. And sometimes it's so hard, you think this is all there's ever been, this is all there ever will be. Kind of like pain itself, when you're in severe pain. And yet, when they let you, in basic training, when they let you call your folks for about 30 seconds, I kid you not, you can have 30 seconds. 2 minutes. But even then, it's like, what do I say? It's like calling from
another planet, one so far away from where you live, from where your loved one is, that you'll never make it if you try. Even if you had a fast ship, you will never make it. You'll die before you get to see him again. That kind of emotion. Anyway, I've gone on too long about that, but it's just the acting was this and that, and it just definitely is a different take. But let me go on. Things get worse, and
at first, Cybercop is catching all these criminals. Like when he's first unveiled, he spots a murderer. His dopamine levels are down. There's no emotional anything. He didn't even say hello to his wife and son. He just starts scanning people, just like the robots. Not a threat, not a threat, not a threat, not a threat, not a threat. Wanted for so many counts of murder. Something or other King, Thomas King. And of course, he tases the guy, says, "You're under arrest. If you don't have an attorney, one will be provided for you." Reads him his Miranda rights. And of course, here comes Pat Novak, Sam Jackson. But what more could you need to convince you that this is the future of American justice? This man, Thomas King, wanted for ruining so many families, murder, and all this stuff, was standing 10 feet away from two of Detroit's finest. And yet, they failed. But Robocop took care of business. I mean, Sam Jackson, for what I might like his role in this. I didn't want to. I wanted to hate it. But it's just so otherworldly. It's like all you have to do is give up one little point of logic, which by definition would mean you would have to give up all the rest and just get into this room where give up that one thing to get in the door. Everything else makes sense somehow. That's what this movie is to me. And when you just ignore a certain part of your brain, it is really amusing. And his performance as Pat Novak is one of those things where it's like, it's gold. It's gold to me. It's like, man. Anyway, he starts going after all these criminals, taking them out. And Michael Keaton looks out over the horizon out of his building one day and he looks at the city and says, "It's such a peaceful city." But it never made the case that the city needed anything like Cybercop, just that he wanted it to make more money and for his corporation and his defense contracts and who knows what else to make trillions of dollars. Just like the guy, Jay Baruchel, Tom Pope says, every day we don't have the robots here in America like we do in the rest of the world, we're losing like $1 billion every few days or something like that, from his projections of how much could be made if they had them here in America too. And so, yeah, it really is something. But let me continue. And this might be my longest review yet because I am not done yet. Michael Keaton, whenever Cybercop starts getting out of hand, and they left his dopamine levels down to keep him in a zombie state and wouldn't let his wife see him anymore after the first time or two, saying it's bad for business. She could put things in his mind that, and especially the cruel lawyer lady, she's really cold about it. It's like, well, that's Omnicorp's decision and all this stuff. But you really get that he's our property, end of story type thing. But his own memories start to come back, especially when his wife starts saying, your son needs you, he's being picked on, he's scared. And there was one neat little part. I thought when I heard about some of that before I saw the movie that now this is going to be more, is it going to be sappy or is it going to be this? But when I actually watch it, one thing really clenched it and actually did seem good, because when he rebuilds his own crime scene after his wife has been putting all this stuff and really helping him come back to himself, when you think about it like that, that his son needs him and all this, when he reenacts his own crime scene, something. Then again, I don't know how when the car exploded, it is a car bomb, how it didn't blow out a good portion of the house, all the windows and stuff, but it didn't. It's somehow it just didn't, because it's Cybercop. Anyway, when he reenacts his own crime scene, or rebuilds it in a digital Iron Man, Tony Stark, ultra hologram, super duper fancy diagram of this was here and the trees were here, the car was here, the shrapnel was here afterwards and stuff, and he realized it was a car bomb. And how did he find out that it was the crooked cops that had done it? I forgot, man. But anyway, he's hooked into everything, and that's another thing I call him Cybercop for, like a continuous feed of information, and he has all these readouts. And again, it is over the top, spelling things out for you when you understand what's going on, but they feel like they have to tell you again what's going on sometimes. Like gives you like a 6-character readout of what he's seeing when he's checking someone's emotions or their emotional state. Like his son reads out anxious, fearful, despairing, or something like that. And when he recreates his own crime scene, his murder scene, as it were, in his hologram, all of a sudden he's looking at his own charred body laying there unconscious, blown up, and then all of a sudden you look up to the window and his son was looking down at his body like his son saw it. And so something clicked with B. It's like, oh man. It was one of those oh man moments, like that's bad, that's horrible. But yeah. What else can I say as I move toward the ending? Michael Keaton. I'm actually going to get into his performance a little bit more in another review, and I'll reference his performance here when I do that review of that movie. He seemed kind of erratic with his. It was almost like a comedy, and I know OCP Communications had said something like this, how he thought like he was in Beetlejuice or something, and it wasn't a serious, intimidating bad guy. But the thing is, it being PG-13 and everything, and the way that they did this as compared to the way they did the original Robocop, which is another reason why this really shouldn't be called Robocop. This is, after all, Cybercop. Really, it is Cybercop. That I kind of excuse that, because it's like these corporate suits, it's like they weren't really bad guys in the beginning, as in murderers and potential murderers. It's like they were dirty, greedy, bad people. But I don't know, unless there was something that I missed, I don't know that they had added the disregard for human life for like Alex's. You know, they're willing to put these machines that could kill people. They want their money. They want the ED-209s everywhere. But it's like they were bad, but then he's really bad. His not good. His really bad comes out in its true form at the end when he says that, you know, you want to try and arrest me? Well, here, put the cuffs on me. Oh, you can't. And again, he's not intimidating there. He's like, it's kind of comedic the way he does it. It was entertaining, for sure, but just the way he did it. He says, you can't do anything to me. You're a robot. I can shoot you. I can shoot your wife and kid. And I think the shooting of the wife and kid idea is what allowed him to dead at the end of the movie. And so let me try and pick a pace here and get on with this, because this is getting crazy long. 1 hour and 13 minutes. Whoa. He gradually comes to himself, and I know I'm missing something. He gets back with his partner Lewis, and yeah, they had the thing when he first got there, and he saw the black suit. He's like, at least I know you're the right color, and his partner is black. I'm like, do we have to have stuff like that in these movies? Is it necessary? No. I'll help you. I'll answer that question. No, it's not necessary. But I liked his partner, Lewis, and I liked his acting. What is his name? Have I seen him in anything else? Michael K. Williams? Let me look it up real quick. I don't see anything that I don't see anything that he's been in that I've seen. Anyway, there's a constant back and forth of what's best for Omnicorp, and so they want to keep the wife away and not allow her to see her husband, Alex. They don't want her to see Cybercop because of what it might mean, but she gets on the news anyway, and Gary Oldman is doing his best to do the right thing, and also what's best and right for his patient, Alex.
There's a new yellow bottle in your...
A lot of them don't care. It's all about the bottom line and so forth. But he gradually comes to himself and he solves his own murder. He knows they're crooked cops. First he goes to the one guy who was somebody they interrogated in the very beginning that I forgot to mention. Like a low-level thug type guy. Yanks him out of his car. Like, I guess he broke his hand or something. Like, my hand, man, my hand. Maybe with his cyborg man, Cybercop, with the robot hand. And then he steps on it saying, "Oh, my hand, man, let me go." And what does he get him to tell him? He gets him to tell him about the crooked cops. And about the driver. Man, because he had told him when they were pointing guns at him earlier, like, "You cops, man," and they had this really tense scene. I'm like, is this really the way an undercover cop would handle that? You might get yourself shot for no information at all. Anyway, I'm just saying. But this is Cybercop, and so we'll go with it. He says, "Man, we work for Antoine Valor. I work for Antoine Valor." And so that's how he knew the name, and that's how he knew to see him. And he says, "Where is he? Where can I find him?" He's like, "Man, don't kill me, man. If I tell you they're going to kill me, I got a wife and kids, man," or something like that. And then he instantly looks up from his name and everything. It's like, you're not married, and you don't have a kid or something like that. But I do. I ain't going to ask you again. He's like going to shoot him or something. He says, "I never talked to anybody but his driver, man." And he mentions his name, and that's how he knows. He knows who the crooked cops are. I think I'm getting the sequence mixed up because a lot of stuff actually does happen, or it seems like it happens with the way they sequence it all together. He actually goes by himself to this warehouse where Anton Valor is, and in this horrible shootout where lights are off, they've got night vision goggles on, and Antoine Valor's told his guys, if he gets away, like if he lives, you don't, and all. It's trying to sound like really intimidating, and I guess it works for this movie, but it's just, they're asking him, how do we take him out? Is it robots, like 50 caliber and above? Something they had said earlier in the movie, like his armor can take basically anything except 50 caliber and above. He starts taking serious damage, and so they got night vision goggles off. He goes down this hallway just with these. It looks like the rapid fire from Judge Dredd. That's the closest thing. The first Judge Dredd, the Stallone version. That's the closest thing I can describe it. He hits this thing and deliberately flips the bike onto these guys, runs down the hall. He has this thing. They turn the lights off thinking they're going to get him somehow. It's like he has, don't they know he probably has night vision, infrared, X-ray, super ray. He's a robot, whatever. He's going to see where they are. And so at one at a time, he's taking them all out. They're falling. Antoine Valor, or whoever it is, the head guy, somebody had a big gun, and there's just one scene of like, oh, they got him. They shot him in his plastic visor that comes apart. He goes down. There's like 2 or 3 seconds in the dark. He gets back up and he shoots them. He gets them all, kills them all, and then he's scanning everybody. He scans. That one's Antoine Valor, deceased. So he confronts the crooked cops. His partner Lewis is there. He's kind of in the office with him. He goes right into the little cubicle of officer, if you call it office, cubicle, whatever, Casey Collins, and his partner's in there. And this is where the guy says, "You want to play good cop, bad cop?" And Lewis says, "No, bad cop, Robocop." And anyway, they end up saying, stuff like, man, you got nothing on me, and it's like, and he just, Cybercop spells out like, I've got all the evidence, and he says, I got fingerprints, I know you took the evidence, I know you like tried to have me killed, I know everything. He's basically he's going to try and shoot him. Cybercop shoots him dead. Aims it over at the other cop. He's like, come on, man, I forget how he begs for his life or whatever. And so he kind of lets him go. And this is the one kind of the bad boy moment that I saw as he's going out. He says he's going to let him go. It's like, okay, you take over, Lewis. He turns the corner. He kind of, like, not even looking, he shoots the guy and he says, you can cuff him now, Lewis. I'm like, oh man, we had to get that over the top then, didn't we? Then he confronts the chief because he knows this is how they did it. This is how they stole the evidence, the guns. This is how they were protected. They were protected from on high, the way he says. He says it so fast, you get it, but it's like, he says, then you tried to kill me twice, and you destroyed my family. And he's pointing a gun at her, and he's like, confess, confess. And it's like, they can see back at Omni whatever, everything that he does, of course. So they shut him down. He goes, limp, ragdoll, collapses. And so then they're considering taking him offline. And Michael Keaton, of course, in his way, he says, you know what? This isn't going to break us. This is going to put us over the top, that kind of a thing. So here comes Pat Novak, and who better to deliver this new way of selling it than men are weak, you know. Men can be bought. Men can be bribed. Men can be corrupt. Not robots. And so then they're spinning it that way. Like, Robocop is now taking, Cybercop is now taking out corrupt police officers. So then they go that way, which I mean, it's pretty good. It's just, I don't know. So like they keep him offline until the end. They're gonna kill him. The bill is being repealed, the Rifus Act. It was 50-50, now it's like 60-something people are for it, are for the robots policing America. It's being repealed. Michael Keaton's gotten what he wanted, Raymond Sellers, and so, done deal. What do we need Robocop for? They're gonna pull the plug on him, but not while Gary Oldman is there. Michael Keaton had gotten with Gary Oldman's character. Let me say their character's name. I'm drifting here. Norton, Dr. Norton. Sellers has gotten with Norton saying, look, you know, you've helped so many people just by what you've already done. Do you realize the implications of all that you've achieved with him, with Cybercop? It's going to mean people don't, it's going to mean a lot of people aren't going to die because of what you're able to do here and what you've done. But he completely goes 180 from earlier things he said about Alex himself, about how, oh, well, I just want to help you and all this. Complete 180. He's like, really? What kind of life does he have now? I mean, really? His body is, he'll never have a life. Have I really helped him? And it's like, it couldn't be more transparent, but it's the closest thing to intimidating and evil as it could get there, and he pulled it off well enough in that instance, getting what this character Raymond Sellers wants. And Gary Oldman, for a time, admits, I want his wife and kid in the lap of luxury for the rest of their lives. And Sellers like, done, it'll be done. He's like, I want full funding and my own staff, all new people, only people I want for the next 10 years. And he's like, done, it's done, like whatever you want. And so he makes like he's going to go and pull the plug on him. But it's like the private security of Omnicorp. They look like soldiers, but it's private security. In their fatigues and stuff. Are already going through the building. They're firing people, telling them to clear out. It's like it's happening then. Like this clear out. And his assistant is there saying that, I'm with him. I'm with Alex. Like, what do you want me to do? They're clearing people out of the building. They're like, just keep them stalled until he gets there. And it's this crazy scene where he actually has to put himself in danger, like tap on this glass, supposed to be bulletproof, diverting these soldiers to get shot at. He runs to the room, wakes up Alex out of the dope, and he's like, Alex, these men are here to kill us. I've got to explain to you what's going on. They're here to kill us. And so, of course, he tases them when they burst into the room. And then he says, Alex, this is what's happening. And he tries to explain, but he's only like halfway into it when Cybercop realizes, like, you lied to me. You lied to me, now you're involved in trying to kill me too. It's like he's got no friends now, and he's just trying to explain to him. And he didn't really hear Gary Oldman out. All he knows is that his wife and child are at the tower, the Omnicore Tower or whatever. So he rushes off, and that's where you see the little firefight between him and the ED-209s, where he tells the security guards, it's like, they say, "It's private property. Don't have authority to be here. Go away," or whatever. And he tases the guy in like half a second, tells the rest, "I put those guns down now if I were you." They drop their weapons. He flies just by zooming on his black motorcycle, this sleek looking thing that looks like well, it's its own neat little Cybercop motorcycle. Hits the curb, boom, flies into the building on perfect trajectory, because, you know, he's Cybercop, onto the ED-209. The other ED-209 shoots the one he's on, blows it up. He gets it to shoot the other one, then he runs for it. Gets shot in the back a whole bunch of times. Like, the big machine guns on that thing, I'm pretty sure they're 50 caliber and above themselves on these massive robots. He'd probably be down. But he jumps on another one. It's being shot at by another one. They're really dumb robots, come to think of it. Now that I think about it, they shot each other up really bad. Even though it's supposed to be where they look at a human with no weapon and non-threat, and they lower their guns. Which, when Robocop when one falls, they fall to the next level down. Lands on his arm, not the one with his human hand they let him keep, but his left arm. ED-209's coming. He shoots his arm off to get away, and he's being shot in the back again. A SWAT team full of good cops, including Lewis, his partner, have come. They're going to try and help him. They're going to try and save Murphy, because they know it's Murphy, it's Alex, and he was betrayed again. Probably the bravest thing in the entire movie. I'm like, I don't know if I could do that. I guess I would have to try and bring myself. I mean, the guns all like had these tracer bullets. It looks like lasers out of the ED-209. Like something out of. It looks like, I can't explain it. You've seen it in the trailer, though, the way it looks. He puts himself in front of that so that it'll stop firing. It'll see him as a human and stop shooting at Alex, at Cybercop. Gutsiest thing in the whole movie, probably. When he does that, gets in front of Cybercop and the ED-209. Cybercop makes it to the next few rooms where Jackie O'Haley's there again, like, "Hey, buddy, remember me?" or something like that. And, of course, he's shooting at him. He's like, "This isn't personal." Well, maybe, because he tasered him early. And, again, he has the kind of... They don't seem like bad guys. I just don't know. I mean... It's very entertaining to me. It's just, it's good junk is all. Lewis comes in, he shoots the one soldier with Jackie O'Haley. Jackie O'Haley, they shoot each other. Jackie O'Haley drops dead, and Lewis is wounded for the second time. Poor Lewis just gets shot and officer down twice in this movie. And so Robocop finally gets himself together. He gets up, walks over his readout. There's no visor, so it's all in his mind. It's stuff being fed into his brain by whatever they've done to him. You'll be okay, man. It's non-fatal. And so he gets up to the roof, and before his wife had come to confront Sellers, Michael Keaton, about why haven't you let me see my husband and all this, and this is how this and that and the other, and Willy Womp the movie seems to get here. You would think that the bad guy would just automatically, he cares about his family, I'll use them as a shield or as bait or whatever. But no, they were actually leaving after another confrontation with him when she says, you just stay away from me. You stay away from me and my son. You stay out of our lives forever, because he had told her that, oh, we're sorry. Earlier, Alex died. He had another horrible seizure, and Dr. Norton did everything he could to try and save him, but we just weren't able to. And she believed him, like he's dead, that time. And so she was leaving. Then the whole place is being evacuated because Cybercop is coming. They all go back upstairs, and or to another part of the building. And that's when Michael Keaton has her brought up, and we'll take her on a helicopter ride. We'll get away together or something like that. And we'll take the kid and we'll get out of here. Got to evacuate this. one of our robots has gone on the fritz and is blowing up the building downstairs. But then Alex comes up, Cybercop. He tells him, get down on the ground. There's one soldier there. They look the way they looked. I thought they were troops or something. The private security people in their own special uniforms with the exoskeletal whatnot, their own little helmets and machine gun looking things. It's like, you're under arrest for the attempted murder of a police officer. Himself. It's like, oh, well, arrest me. And this is the scene. This is the scene that did it. He couldn't do it. He couldn't bring himself to shoot Michael Keaton because he's a red asset. And so Michael Keaton keeps taunting him. It's like, you're just a robot. I mean, I'm not, but hey, I could kill you. I could kill your family. When he points the gun at his family, somehow he's able to do it. And the closest thing to actual like blood spurt and stuff happens. Michael Keaton's like, whoa, I died. I wish that would have been over the top. That would have been too much. You know what? I'll go ahead and say, that just came to me. That I'll go ahead and say everything is acceptable up to now and beyond, because that didn't happen. You didn't have some Hobbit, an unexpected journey. What are you going to do? He kills the horrible Goblin King. That'll do it. Somebody's saying something like that before they die. At least Michael Keaton didn't say, oh. That, you know what? That would have done it. But without that, I'll say, okay. Maybe it's a decent scene. Shoots him, you see actual blood, and Michael Keaton is no more, or Sellers is no more. And another horrible seizure's coming on because he just violated his most basic programming now, Cybercop. He's on the ground, he's twitching, and his family rushes over, Daddy, and his wife's like, Alex, and she realizes he's alive and everything. And this is the scene when he's saying, everything's going to be okay. And it actually was a good scene to me. Everything's going to be okay. And I finally get it. I finally get what they did with the hand. Kind of clever. His son has grasped him. His armor's all shot up. This thing here and all the little moving parts are exposed with the wires and circuits and levers and junk. His human hand, he takes his son's hand, and he actually is able to hold him with his human hand that's left. I thought, okay, I get it. And so that's how the fight, the third act kind of ends. And then there's a scene of he's brand new suit, everything's repaired, and his wife and his son are there, and they meet him, and he like touches his son and hugs his wife somehow.
I guess they walk together, and Dr. Norton is there, and kind of cool for Cybercop. Cybercop had a neat little ending, and then there's Sam Jackson, Pat Novak, dun, 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 and then horrible digitized whatnot. What happened, people? However he said it, like the bill is back. Like
and because of this whistleblower, and he mentioned Dr. Norton testifying of everything that he knows and has seen, and so it's all reverse. Not going to put big, horrible robots on the streets to police humans in America. And he's like, and of course, this is kind of over the top for sure. And it's all directed at Gary Oldman's character, Dr. Norton. The fact that this mother beep, 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 is not serving time in a federal penitentiary or whatever is the biggest miscarriage of justice, is a big steaming pile of horse beep, 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 beep. And I was like, I don't think even Bill O'Reilly does that kind of a thing. But then he digresses, and it ends with, but this will always be, has been, always will be, the greatest country in the world. And that ends with this, like, a glorious Pat Novak, like his stance and Sam Jackson's eyes and everything. It's like, good night, America. Whatever he says. And then the music starts again. It's really not even Cybercop theme music. It's Pat Novak, the Novak element or hour or whatever segment music. Dun, 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 dun. Got to be the coolest news music ever if it was in real life. But no, it's not Cybercop music. It's not Robocop music. It's Cybercop music now. Not even Cybercop music. It's Pat Novak music. Dun, dun, and then Robocop on the screen again, spelled out in big blue. Alternate theme from the original. So I've gone on for too long on this one. 1 hour and 36 minutes. Whoa! I knew I would have fun with this one, but yeah. Something else I wanted to talk about. I can't remember except this one thing. A lot of people have complained about the violence, and rightly so, when it is bad. Action, again, I try and make this distinction between action, depicting action, something that's happened, even shooting, deaths, as opposed to gruesome, senseless brutality, which you do see in a lot of movies and that I don't like. And then sometimes, I'm like, well, they're trying to depict this in a film. And the thing is that I thought was interesting was something else I wanted to share, and I'll end this review on this. His name is Paul Verhoeven, the director of the original Robocop. Let me see if I can find this article. I should have bookmarked it. Let me go and try and talk while I wish I could link you to the article that I read, but I'll go ahead and just give you the gist of what I read, since I can't find it, and I should have bookmarked it. But an article about Paul Verhoeven's thoughts on violence being relating to war in the Second World War, and where he was as a young person, seeing violence himself. Where he was, and how some things, this is really interesting to me, how some things when you're very young don't register emotionally the way they do later on in life. In my own words, once things are more properly wired, and you've been around and been here in the world long enough to see and understand things, and you discern things better. A statement he made, again, I wish I could link you to it, but just some thoughts. I discovered this about a month and a half ago, and I read it somewhere on here. I wish I could link you to it, but some thoughts that I had about that, because my own dealing with imagery of intense things, like in a movie or something, it was coincidental that it was one of his movies that I had this, kind of what he's talking about. I've never involved, that is, in my personal life, I've never been involved in anything too gruesome. Even on my deployment to Afghanistan, I wasn't involved in combat, and none of the rockets that were fired at us ever landed on anybody that I knew. And not even the time I had a close call, nobody was hurt. And horrible looking wounds and stuff and violence, the results of violence, the actual gruesome, the wounds themselves, and what he, more specifically what he said, the damage done to the human body as being something that was a fascination to him, and he talked about his childhood. And I wanted to talk about it in respect to him, because I was actually, I don't know, 10, 11. I was really young when a taped down VHS tape, somebody had taped down Robocop, and I had seen it. And I saw Alex Murphy shot when I was a young boy in the movie. I watched the movie, I saw it. The way Mr. Kenny is brutalized by the malfunctioning ED-209, that kind of thing. I saw action. I saw a robot. I'm like, a robot and shooting and bad guys. But then it was later, in my mid-teen years or late, I was 16, 17, somewhere in there, I watched Robocop again, and I saw that stuff again, and I was like, this is some intense junk. This poor man, I was shocked. There was a shock factor to it. It didn't click when I was younger, because I don't really know what I'm seeing when I'm younger. People don't, you know? But when I was older, and watching it again, I was like, wow, this is a bit much sometimes. Definitely it is. And so I just thought that was interesting, that it was that he thought that way about that, and yet it was some of his work, Robocop, that before I read that what he wrote from his own experience, I realized that from his works, from his films, at least from Robocop, because I know he didn't do Robocop 2. But I just thought that was interesting. And as far as, then again, I don't know why I'm even bringing it up, since this isn't a Robocop movie, this is Cybercop. And that's all I can say about that. And if they should make a Cybercop sequel and call it Robocop 2, if it's nearly as entertaining as some things in this movie were, I'd probably watch it, especially if it seemed like it from the trailer or whatever it has of it, that it has a neat story that's different from the first one, not the same thing. Well, I guess that's all I can say for now. Don't know really what review I'm going to do next or will put up next, but that's Robocop 2014. And I just want to say thank you for watching, and we'll see you later. Thanks.